Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and we're at the release of the second set in the Fusion World card game for their online client. I'm super excited for it. I know a lot of you guys are as well, and this video is releasing on the day that it should be added to the online simulator as well, and I do plan to be doing some testing, so make sure to check out if I'm live on YouTube right now, and if I'm not, I'm going to have the live stream VOD in the description of this video so you can check that out too, but should be a lot of just pack opening and gameplay and just general testing as well. So, and also the main decks that I want to be kind of testing for that live stream are going to be the ones we're going to be talking about today. I did make a video kind of similarly about a week ago going over my thoughts of decks going into the first week of this, and now that I've had a little bit more time testing, seeing what the format looks like, also seeing how regionals go as well, which you guys can check out all of the deck lists here on my website as well, Eggman Events, but I did want to update a couple deck lists and kind of go over what my thoughts are going into this format. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be building and playing a lot for the Fusion World, so I kind of want to just again make another resource and let you guys know if you are kind of lost on kind of deck builds and what things are looking like, you have this resource here on my website and stuff. So we're going to go over that in general, and again, make sure to hit that like and subscribe if you are new. But again, some of these are like older. These are from May 9th when we did the original video about 2 weeks ago, and but I did want to just make some new ones. So spoilers you're going to see in the description, or at least on the timestamps, they're red and blue leaders. I think those are just the ones that make the most sense. I haven't done a lot of testing with green or yellow, but I think these lists that I have on the website still kind of stand out and are still good in their own way, at least for like a beginner's build for you to build into. And you can do some testing with those too, and then kind of craft it your own way as well. But if you're kind of looking for a good starting point, I think these are the good ones here, and they just have a good amount of variety. So I don't have Cooler and I don't have Ginyu. I don't honestly have good builds for those that I at least would. I don't have anything that I would feel confident with people spending time and money to build with. So I don't have those two right now. That changes. It'll be updated on this page as soon as I get those. But we're gonna just kind of go over the two red decks, which are probably two of like the stronger colors. They're both kind of tournament of power, but I kind of want to just go over my own builds, and then we're going to go over all the blue leaders, which I think all of them are just kind of just viable in their own way. They're a little bit tricky to play, but they're all kind of have some kind of uniqueness to their play styles, and I think they're pretty fun in their own way. So we're going to start off with our Topku though. This deck obviously is a menace, and make sure to check the date on when this video released. I would not be surprised if it got hit on the restriction list in the week or two after this comes out, but in the meantime, I think it's pretty clear that we do have some really good cards for this deck in general. Some kind of choice cards for this one. I'm a big fan of the one drop Whis in this. I think this has been getting more and more popular, but this is great for not only the mirror match and making sure to get rid of their Roshi, but also being a 10k means that their 2-drop hits in the mirror match, and also 1-drop Whis themselves can't get rid of it, which is kind of important. I also do like the Khalifa and hit for Self-Awakening. The 3-drop Sun Gohan Adolescence, I think, has been a really great card for mirror matches. Being able to use this when your opponent plays their Kefla, you can use this yourself, be able to give minus 10k to everything and get some really easy removal, which is quite nice. We have our 3-drops also of the other Sun Gohan. We have the Aandroidd 17, as well as the Sun Goku. If you don't get this card, because I do know that this is a card, it's a super rare, and I know that sometimes, unless they're changing it for the release of it, the wild card system is not the greatest. Don't feel like you have to craft this card, or don't feel like you need this card if you want to play this deck. I think you're totally fine with just playing the other Sun Goku as well. Sun Gohan Adolescence you need, and Kefla you need. These ones you need as many copies as you can, for better or for worse. So, but this one, if you don't have it, I think this is the weakest super rare in the deck in itself. So other than that, I mean, generally, if you just have Kefla and Sun Gohan Adolescence with Rebrand and Glimpse, as well as Roshi, like those are just the cards you need. After that, like there's tech choices and there's some like best ofs, but those are the cards you need like every time. So most of these are pretty easy, and you just want to run as many copies as you feel comfortable for it. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but here's a Topku list. You can find literally dozens of them that have won in topped events, and you can look at mine if you want to. So next up is Beerus, which is a little bit more of my play style in general. I went with kind of more of a Universe 6 kind of build for the deck as well. And I do kind of like what this deck kind of does. I'm not playing, again, Aandroidd 17. We're missing it on this one. And the main reason for that is that I feel like if we're kind of being more of like a removal based deck, that the 3-drop Goku is just better in more scenarios. As much as it's nice to be a 25k leader, I'm not going to deny, I think playing this on curve and getting rid of stuff is great. And since we do have to pay 4 energy for our Keflas, we don't really get as much flexibility with our cards on curve either, right? So, like for example, Topku, for their 4 energy, they can play Kefla with one with their leader effect, then play Aandroidd 17. Our entire turn is playing the Kefla over here on the Beerus side. So I think that's something that's impactful for how this deck works. And so generally on turn 3, we play Goku to get rid of whatever they played on their previous turn, and then you go to Kefla on the next turn. If you like Aandroidd 17 more, you can definitely do it. It's just not my favorite for this kind of build. So other than that, we have our top end. We have Beerus and we have Son Goku. Since we don't get the Ribrianne combo is easy in this deck, we do need just kind of these boys instead. And I do play the Strong Warriors of Universe 6. I kind of fluctuate between 2 and 3 copies based on how I'm feeling, but this is great for defense, which I think we need a little bit more defense than offense as it is. But also we can use it with Roshi. But even just paying 1, this deck needs to find our Keflas. Like obviously everyone does, but specifically this one, since we don't get as much card cycle on the early game, and since we need to. And we, if it's not what we're doing on turn 4, we're immediately behind on this game. So being able to say, you know what, I'm going to use this on turn 1 or whenever I have time to be able to help me find Keflas so I can play it on 4. And I think that's very strong. So otherwise, we have like Kaba, which is a super combo, which you can find off of it. We have Hit, and we also have Khalifa, which are two drops that we can play on our second turn to help us self-awaken and put some pressure in. And we also have like Fua and some other cards. So you're not going to really whiff on this. And there's some really great targets. Again, 8 copies of Self-Awakeners is, I think, good enough to run this 1-drop extra card for the deck. So this is kind of my build of Beerus. I like it pretty good, and I think it's strong as well. So there it is. Moving on to blue, though, we're going to talk about every blue leader in the game. And specifically for Vegeta, for this build, we have just such good finishing power. Our leader effect is just generically very good. Being able to be a 35k means that it's a good super combo checker, meaning if your opponent doesn't have a super combo, they have to give 2 cards or use like an energy for something just to be able to get out of this swing generically. Sometimes Broly with Instant Kamehameha gets around it, but I digress. But yeah, so we're just kind of running like the Gotenks package for this one. We do have like the new cards of like the new 1-drop Bulma, as well as the new Vegeta. So being able to play the Bulma off the Vegeta means that you give one of your leader or this card plus 10k, and then the activate mains gives both the leader and this a plus 5k. So let's say we're both 35ks, or we'll make our leader a 40k and our 4-drop a 35k, and then you can use Bulma to give plus 10 for one of those for just the on-play effect, and then you can combo it away for 10. So you can be a 45 and 50 K swings on offense on turn 4, which is pretty good. So that's kind of why we're running that. And then we have our finishers. I also will say, and for generically every deck that's in this kind of blue section, Vegeto's a good card if you pull it. If you don't pull it, don't feel like you don't have like the capabilities to play blue. It's a generically okay card, but it's also 5 energies a lot when Topku's trying to hit you down to 0 on turns 3 and 4. So there's sometimes just times we don't get to play this card. Sometimes it lets us go for game, 2 30k swings, but for what it's worth, if you don't get this card based on the cards that you pull, do not think you can't play blue. It's okay to not play this card, at least based on my current testing. That might change in the future, but with the speed of what the game looks like right now, it doesn't really matter as much. It's just sometimes like a good way to like against like non-red decks, it gets some good value, but otherwise it sometimes might be just too slow. So other than that, Sinister Sickle, you're going to see this in a lot of blue decks. It's one of the best, if not the best way to kind of answer a Kefla turn, is you just play this and bottom deck the 2 cards and just hope they don't have another one next turn because you spent 3 energy and you didn't attack or put any pressure on it. So that's kind of it. I think this Vegito is really important for all these decks in general. For what it's worth, I think Vegeta is the one that cares about Vegito the least. You can definitely make this deck a little bit more on the budget side. Technically, we're not running any super rares outside of the starter deck one if we don't want to play Vegito. So I think this is a great way for people if you're trying to get into this game from set 2, get 2 of the Vegeta starter decks, get a couple packs, and you're probably in a good spot, right? Like most of these cards are commons, uncommon starter deck cards, and a couple rares. So I wouldn't be too worried about trying this deck if you're new to the game as well. So there it is for Vegeta. Next up, we have Trunks, which is a little bit more complex, but again, you'll notice that most of these cards are not too expensive on the rarity side. Trunks, I would say, is more of like a mid-range deck where we're just a little bit more aggressive on the Vegeta side. So the kind of ability for him to be able to bounce something back to hand for free is really good, especially in tandem with Vegito being able to reduce the cost of things. So if you have this on board, you're able to bounce a 4 or less back to hand, which is really nice and helps you out a lot. If I was to say which deck between Future and Vegeta needs the 3-drop Vegito, it's probably Trunks Future. I think he has just better synergies with it in general, and we're a little bit slower on the curve, so that makes sense. We do get like the new My Future, which again gets us more of like the cost reduction, which is great. We do have like the new 4-drop Vegito, which we're not playing in this deck, but it can be helpful for recurring the Trunks Future if you want that. But again, like for 4 energy, being able to play Trunks Future, attack 30k, bounce back to hand another 30k from an empty board, I think is good in its own way. So I think that's fine. We do have some top end. Goku Black, which we're going to talk about later. In Goku Black is such a strong card. Especially like if your turn 3 was Vegito, being able to play this next turn, bottom deck of 3 or less, can get some good value, and it's a 30k, which is nice. And then the Vegito and Vegeta as well. So I think this deck needs Vegito a little bit more. So like this is, if you have like more blue cards and you want like a bit of a more expensive deck, I suppose, I think Trunks Future is a good kind of call for that as well. So I don't have much more to say about this guy, but he's really fun. I definitely want to do some testing with him, and I like just the idea with cost reduction with this leader seems really, really cool. So there it is. Next up, we've got Zamasu Fused, which has been a big experiment, I think, for what this game is. This is probably the control deck if you want to play it for blue. So we kind of have like the aggressive deck, we have like the value deck, I suppose, we have the control deck, and then we have also Goku Black at the end, which is a combo deck a little bit. But specifically for this one, we do get to just live forever if we need to, which is strong. Sometimes because things can attack the turn they're played, being able to be at 3 life is not as strong, but it can come up every once in a while. Blue just has a lot of ways to get a lot of value as well, so some key cards are Peel Off to be able to loop forever. We also have our 3-drop Piccolo, which is able to get back one of our extra cards. Using Gallic Gun early and just staying at 8 life as long as we can is great too, and just gets more cycle and gets, if we have extra energy hanging out. I would say that this deck specifically, we do need Vegetos because these do come up a little bit more, as well as like our Zenos, our Goku Blacks, and then our 3-drop Vegetos too. So I think all that's pretty necessary for this deck to function as well. We have Final Hope Slash to be able to play the Peel Off, get it back into our hand, and complete the loop between the two of these. Just gets us again very infinite value, especially when we're probably charging to at least 6 to every game, if not more than that. We have Absolute Lighting for the bottom deck potential, Sinister Sickle because we also like bottom decking Kefla and Son Gohan, and that's kind of the build for it here. So I think the deck is really good. I've seen some people kind of go up past 50, and I get the idea for it, but with just the consistency that we kind of need for this game, I think 50 is kind of the spot for it. So you can go to maybe like 52, 54, but I would try to still keep this on the leaner side at this moment. So I think this deck is good. I think eventually we'll find like the ratios and the play style that this deck is up there in playability. I don't think it's there quite yet. I can't convince myself that this is the 100% best build, but I think this is a good starter build for anyone trying to play Zamasu Fused in the first place. So there it is. And lastly, we got Goku Black, and I did take Goku Black to North Carolina for a top 64 finish. This deck is pretty similar to what it looks like. I just made a minor change for the Trunks Future 3-drop, which I think this card is fine. I wanted to put it in the original build. I just couldn't find room or justify it. But after doing some more testing, I think being able to just get a Kefla back into their hand consistently is good enough. There's some like weird times where like I had like a Vegito out, and like Goku Black can get a bottom deck of a 3 or less, but not getting the Kefla back to hand was kind of rough. So against Beerus specifically, you want to do that because it becomes their entire turn, which is great. Or something like even Goku, even Topku, even if they have to do it again, they do have to use an energy and lose a card to do so. So I think it's worth it in its own way. It's not a fantastic card. Obviously, bouncing to bottom of deck is better than bouncing to hand, but finding 2 spots for this I think is great, especially sometimes we do need like the Self-Awakening to be able to get some card draw and apply some better pressure for some stuff. So other than that, I like this deck a lot. It's probably one of the more expensive blue decks because we do actually need the My Future. We need the 2-drop Zamasu, we need the 6-drop Zamasu, we need the 4-drop Zamasu, and the 4-drop Vegeta. So I do not look forward to having to pull all of the new super rares from this set to make this deck, but I am looking forward to play it on the client. So this will probably be the deck that I do the most like early, but I do plan to do some more testing with some other guys too. So that is the build there. And again, that's going to be the video for us. If you want any of the deck lists that we talked about or others, you can check out, again, all of my personal builds here on my website, which you can also just find on this. If you go to the FB02 decks right here, it opens up the page. So there you go. And then if you want tournament deck links, they're here as well for any of the tournaments that have happened officially and my own box tournament that I held in the first week. So that's going to be it for me. I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy the digital client. Let me know what you guys think about it. Make sure to check out my live streams, and I'll catch you all next time.